I'm in my front yard mowing the lawn when I hear heavy footsteps behind me. I don't need to look to know who it is. Karen Hughes, the HOA president. I've had enough of her by now. Without warning, she's standing at the edge of my driveway, arms crossed, glaring at me. "Luke, you're violating HOA rules," she spits out, pointing at my trash can that's been left out a little too long. I don't respond immediately, trying to calm the irritation building inside me. I've had this conversation with her more times than I care to count, but today, it's different. Today, I'm done. She marches over, knocks the trash can over just to make her point, and I feel my blood start to boil. The bags of garbage spill out onto the grass. I stand still for a second, taking a deep breath, but then it hits me. This isn't just about trash can, this is her, Karen Hughes, pushing my limits. And today she's crossed the line. I walk toward her, trying to keep my voice steady. "This is my property. I'm not going to let you treat me like this anymore." She doesn't flinch. "I'm just doing my job, keeping the neighborhood nice, Luke." I can feel the anger rising, but I hold it in, knowing I can't let her see how much she's getting to me. She turns to walk away, flicking her hair over her shoulder. I watch her leave, but something shifts inside me. This isn't just about a trash can anymore. If I don't stand up now, I'm gonna lose more than just a stupid rule. I'm gonna lose my home, my family's legacy, and I won't let that happen. Not today, not ever. By the way, from where are you watching this? And what time is it there? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know where my community belongs. And if you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. This house isn't just a building to me, it's a piece of my family's history, a symbol of everything my father worked for. I remember when I was a kid, running through these hallways, my father's voice echoing in every room. He didn't just buy this house, he built it. Every brick, every beam, every nail was a part of him. Dad always told me that nothing in life worth having came easy. This house was proof of that. When he bought the land, it was just a stretch of overgrown weeds and broken fences. But he saw something in it, something more than just a place to live. He saw a future. He worked long hours, day after day, in the heat, in the cold, whatever it took to turn that empty lot into the home we called ours. I was too young to understand all of it at the time, but looking back, I see it now. I see the sacrifices he made, the late nights he spent working on the roof or fixing the plumbing. I see the pride in his eyes when we finally had a house that wasn't just a house, but a home. When my father passed away, this house became my responsibility. It wasn't just a property that needed upkeep, it was the legacy of a man who taught me everything I know about hard work, integrity, and what it means to fight for something that's yours. I inherited more than just the house, I inherited the promise to keep it safe, to preserve it just as he would have wanted. I knew from the moment I stepped into this place after his funeral that I'd have to protect it not just for myself, but for him, for everything he put into it. And that's what has kept me going year after year through the maintenance, the repairs, the endless work. As I walk around the property now, every inch holds a memory. The garden out back where my father planted the rose bushes, the porch where we spent summer evenings drinking iced tea, watching the sunset. There's not a single corner of this house that doesn't remind me of him. His spirit is here in the very walls, and I can't imagine letting anyone take that from me. That's why this fight with Karen Hughes isn't just about her, or about some petty HOA rule she's trying to enforce. It's about protecting everything my father stood for. It's about keeping this place in the family and making sure that what my father worked so hard for doesn't get trampled by people like her. People who think they can control everything without understanding the value of hard work and dedication. I think back to the lessons my father taught me, how he always said that if something's worth having, it's worth fighting for. And this house, this legacy, is worth every ounce of fight I have in me. As I walk through the rooms, I feel the weight of that responsibility bearing down on me. I can't let this woman or this HOA take it away. This isn't just about fines or trash cans or rules that don't matter. This is about my family's legacy. This is about my father's name. And if I don't fight for it, if I don't stand up now, I'll lose everything he built, everything he worked for. This is bigger than me. It's bigger than the house. It's about preserving everything that makes it mine. The next morning, after Karen knocked over my trash can, I walk out to find a letter taped to my front door. It's from the HOA, of course. The letter's thick, official-looking, and reeks of authority. Just the kind of thing Karen would send to make sure I know she's still watching. I rip open the envelope, already bracing for what's inside, and it doesn't disappoint. It's a warning about fines, violations, and a list of infractions I've committed on my property. Of course, the trash can incident is listed first, followed by a series of other supposed violations. I didn't even know existed. They've been watching, waiting for a reason to target me. I can almost hear Karen's voice in my head, dictating these charges, knowing exactly what buttons to press to get under my skin. I'm furious, but I know better than to let her see it. She's been pushing my buttons for too long, and I'm done being her punching bag. This letter, this ultimatum, feels like a slap in the face, but I'm not backing down. I make up my mind in that moment. It's time to face her head on. I drive over to Karen's house. I'm not sure what I'm expecting when I knock on her door, but I know I can't let this go on any longer. When she answers, she's wearing that smug expression I've come to hate. "Luke," she says, voice syrupy sweet, like she's doing me some kind of favor by acknowledging my presence. "What brings you by?" I step forward, keeping my voice calm, despite the storm inside me. "Karen, we need to talk. This letter you sent, it's not right. You're blowing this way out of proportion." She stands there for a moment, just looking at me, her arms folded across her chest. Then she steps back, making no effort to let me in. I'm not sure why I expected anything different. She loves control, loves to feel powerful. This whole HOA setup is just another way for her to assert that power over people like me. "I'm just following the rules, Luke," she says with a faint smirk. "You've been warned. The trash can, the lawn maintenance, none of it's up to code." I try to keep my cool. "The trash can is a minor issue, Karen. A one-time mistake. You're making it personal, and I don't think that's what the HOA is supposed to be about." She laughs, shaking her head as if I'm the one being ridiculous. "This isn't personal, Luke. This is about keeping this neighborhood nice. Keeping it up to standards. You can't just do whatever you want. If you don't want the fines to keep coming, I suggest you start paying attention to the rules." The calmness in her tone only makes my blood boil more. The way she talks like she has some kind of moral high ground, like she's the one saving the neighborhood, makes it hard to stay polite. I take a breath, trying to rein in my temper. "You're not following the rules, Karen. You're using your position to push people around. You're trying to control everything, and I'm not the only one you've been doing this to." For the first time, her expression falters. She stares at me, and I know I've struck a nerve. But it doesn't last long. She recovers quickly, her smug smile returning. "You're free to think whatever you want, Luke, but I'll be keeping an eye on you. The HOA will be keeping an eye on you, and if you don't start complying, we'll escalate." Her words hang in the air like a threat. "We'll escalate," she says again, almost like a promise. And that's when it hits me. She's not just messing around. She's willing to go to whatever lengths she thinks she needs to, just to make sure I fall in line. I turn to leave, my mind racing. I don't know if I'm angrier at her or at myself for letting this get so far, but I know one thing for sure. This isn't just about petty fines anymore. This is about control. This is about my family's legacy. And as I walk back to my truck, I feel the pressure mounting. I know this fight isn't just mine anymore. The community is already starting to notice. They're watching. And as much as I hate to admit it, the legal system might be pulled into this soon too. If I don't act now, I'll lose everything I've worked for. This isn't just about standing up to Karen anymore. It's about standing up for what's right, about making sure no one can take what my family built. The stakes just got a hell of a lot higher. And Karen? She's not going to stop until she gets what she wants, and that's something I'm not going to let happen. The HOA's harassment doesn't stop. In fact, it intensifies. A week after my confrontation with Karen, I find another letter waiting for me when I get home. This one's worse. It's not just about the trash can anymore. Now they're citing issues with my lawn, my mailbox, and even the way I store my garden tools. They've become experts at finding ways to make me feel like I'm constantly in violation. Each letter is more threatening than the last, listing fines that are growing more substantial with each passing day. I tear open the envelope with shaking hands. $250 for a first violation, it reads, followed by another list of charges. It feels like every little imperfection, every minor detail of my life is being scrutinized, judged. Karen's fingerprints are all over this. She's not just trying to enforce rules, she's trying to break me. I feel trapped, suffocated. It's like I can't do anything without worrying that the HOA is watching, waiting for me to slip up so they can hit me with another fine. It's exhausting, the constant pressure. I can't even get through a day without thinking about it. I try to focus on work, but my mind keeps drifting back to Karen and the HOA. When I'm home, it's worse. Every time I step outside, I half expect to see Karen watching from her window, just waiting to pounce. It's as though she's trying to take everything from me. Every part of my life feels like it's under attack. Then, one afternoon, the next escalation comes. An official notice stating that they will be inspecting my property for compliance. It's the final straw. They're coming to my house. I stand there holding the letter, feeling like the walls are closing in around me. The inspection is scheduled for the end of the week, and I'm left with this crushing sense of helplessness. It feels like they're moving in on me, piece by piece, like they're closing off all the exits until I have nowhere to run. This isn't just about petty fines or minor infractions anymore. This is about control over every aspect of my life. It's about a person like Karen thinking she has the right to dictate how I live. The emotional toll of it all is overwhelming. The stress starts to bleed into my everyday life, into my work, and even my relationships. I snap at my coworkers. I forget to call my mom on her birthday. I start canceling plans with friends because I just don't have the energy to pretend like everything's fine. Every time I go to bed, my mind is racing with thoughts of Karen and the HOA. What am I supposed to do? Can I even win this? I try to convince myself that it's just a phase, that they'll back off eventually, but deep down, I know the truth. Karen's not gonna stop, not until she gets what she wants. And what's worse, the HOA is giving her all the ammunition she needs. I can feel myself cracking under the pressure. It's hard to focus on anything, even the things that used to bring me joy. I've become so consumed with the battle that I start to question everything. Is it even worth fighting for anymore? But then I think about my father. I think about the legacy he left behind, about everything this house means to me, and I realize that I can't give up now. Not when everything I've worked, everything my father worked for, is on the line. I won't let Karen take that away from me. This fight is bigger than trash cans or fines. It's bigger than Karen. It's about my home, my family's history, and my future. It's about standing up for what's right. I can't keep waiting for someone else to fix this. I have to take control. I start planning my next steps. I know I need to gather evidence, to build a case. I can't just let this slide and hope for the best. I need to prepare for a larger confrontation. I start documenting everything, taking photos of the alleged violations, recording Karen's interactions with me, and speaking to my neighbors. I reach out to a lawyer who specializes in property rights, hoping they'll give me some direction. I also start talking to more of my neighbors. Some are just as fed up with Karen as I am, but they're too afraid to speak up. I can't blame them. Karen's got the HOA wrapped around her finger, and she's got a reputation for making life difficult for anyone who goes against her. But I know that if I'm going to win this, I need support. I need a community behind me. I start building that community, one person at a time. I'm not just fighting for myself anymore. I'm fighting for anyone who's been bullied or controlled by Karen and her HOA cronies. The more I talk to people, the more I realize I'm not alone. Others have been through the same thing. They're just waiting for someone to stand up to her. And if that someone has to be me, then so be it. I'm not just preparing for a confrontation with Karen anymore. I'm preparing for a fight that could change everything. This is bigger than I ever imagined, but it's a fight I'm ready for. The stakes are higher now. And if I want to win, I have to be prepared to go all in. I won't let Karen take what's mine, not this time. The moment I decide I'm not going to let Karen win this, I know I have to act fast. This has gone on long enough, and if I'm going to stand a chance against her, I need to start documenting everything. So, I do what I've been avoiding, take a hard look at all the evidence I've ignored up until now. I begin with the letters. There are piles of them, each one more threatening than the last. I go through every single one, making copies of everything, from the fines to the so-called violations. I start putting them into a folder, keeping track of every detail. Karen's power lies in the fact that she's been doing this for so long, that no one has bothered to fight back. But now, I have a different kind of determination. I know this isn't just about me. It's about showing the community that they don't have to stay silent anymore. Next, I start documenting every interaction I have with Karen. Every time she comes to my property, every little thing she does, I make a note of it. I begin taking photos of her trespassing standing on my lawn, taking pictures of my house, and even peeking over the fence when she thinks I'm not looking. I catch her red-handed, and for the first time, I start to feel like I'm the one with the upper hand. But it's not just about Karen. I need more. So I start talking to my neighbors. At first, they're hesitant. A lot of them are scared of Karen's power, the way she can make their lives miserable if they stand up to her. But as I share what's been happening to me, something shifts. I find out I'm not the only one. Several neighbors, people I've known for years, confess that they've been targeted by the HOA as well. They've all experienced the same kind of harassment, small violations blown out of proportion, ridiculous fines, and the constant pressure to comply with Karen's rules. That's when I realize this isn't just my fight. It's bigger than that. It's a community fight. I gather their stories, documenting everything they've experienced too. One neighbor tells me about how Karen tried to get her dog impounded because it barked too loudly. Another neighbor shares how she was fined for having a fence that didn't match the approved color palette. The more I hear, the angrier I get. Karen has been using the HOA to control every single aspect of our lives, and now she's going after everything we hold dear. It's time to take action. I know I can't do this alone. I've been battling Karen for months, but now it's clear that to win, I need help. I need someone with legal expertise to guide me through this fight. Someone who knows how to take on an organization like the HOA. I make an appointment with a lawyer who specializes in property rights and HOA disputes. The moment I sit down in his office, I feel a bit of relief. Finally, I'm speaking to someone who understands the law and knows how to fight back against people like Karen. The lawyer listens to my story, looks through the evidence I've gathered, and shakes his head. This is textbook harassment. What Karen is doing isn't just unethical, it's illegal. You've got a solid case here, but it's going to take more than just a few letters and a couple of complaints. If we want to go after her in the HOA, we need to build a much stronger case. I feel a spark of hope. Finally, I have a plan. The lawyer helps me organize the evidence, advising me on how to collect more. I start going door to door, talking to my neighbors, asking them to share their experiences with Karen. At first, it's awkward. People are nervous, afraid of retaliation, but the more I talk to them, the more they start to open up. Some of them are ready to take a stand. Others aren't there yet, but I know I'm making a difference just by talking to them. Slowly, the support starts to grow. As the days go by, I begin to feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Solidarity. This fight isn't just mine. We're all in this together. We start meeting, a small but growing group of neighbors who are willing to stand up to Karen. We start strategizing, figuring out the best way to confront her and the HOA. We pool our resources, gather more evidence, and start building a case that we know will force the HOA to listen. I realize now that this isn't just about fighting back against Karen, it's about showing everyone in the neighborhood that they don't have to live in fear of her. We can take control of our own homes, our own lives, and our own rights. It's clear that we're in for a long battle, but I'm ready. We all are. We've got the law on our side, and more importantly, we've got each other. I start to plan the next steps, how we're going to confront the HOA, how we'll present our case. This fight is about more than just trash cans and fines. It's about power, control, and taking back what's ours. I won't let Karen continue to terrorize us. I won't let her destroy my family's legacy. It's time for a showdown. And this time, I'm not going down without a fight. The community meeting is scheduled for 7 p.m., but I show up an hour early. My hands are shaking, not with fear but with anticipation. I've been waiting for this moment, for the chance to finally lay everything out in front of the people who have let Karen get away with so much. I've got evidence in hand, a team of neighbors who are ready to back me up, and a fire in my gut that's been growing since the moment I first saw Karen knock over my trash can. When I walk into the meeting room, I see her immediately. She's sitting at the head of the table, as usual, her arms crossed, her expression already smug. The moment she sees me, I know she's aware that this isn't going to be just another one of her petty little victories. I stand near the door, making eye contact with a few of my neighbors. Some look nervous, others look resigned, but a few give me a nod of silent support. I can feel the shift. The air is different tonight. The time for silence is over. The meeting starts like any other, with Karen outlining the issues in the neighborhood: missed garbage pickups, lawn violations, the usual list of trivial complaints. As she drones on, I feel my blood begin to boil. How much longer is she going to get away with this? How much longer is she going to destroy lives just to flex her power? Finally, it's my turn. I stand up and walk to the front of the room, my folder of evidence in hand. Karen watches me, a slight smirk still on her face, like she's already won. But tonight, I'm not going to let her control the narrative anymore. Good evening, I start, my voice steady, but I feel the weight of every pair of eyes in the room. I'm Luke Harris, and I've been living in this neighborhood for years. I've been targeted, harassed, and bullied by this HOA, and it's time we all face the truth. Karen has been using her position as president to control and intimidate us for too long, and I'm not the only one she's been doing this to. I flip open my folder and lay out the stack of documents on the table. Letters from the HOA, violation notices, photos of Karen trespassing on my property, witness statements from my neighbors. The room goes silent as I start reading through the evidence, each word making it clearer how deep Karen's abuse of power really goes. I turn to the group, my neighbors all watching now, some looking shocked, some nodding along. Karen's been threatening fines for things as small as a misplaced trash can or the color of a fence. She's used this HOA as her personal tool for control. I've gathered statements from others who've experienced the same harassment, neighbors who've been too scared to speak up until now. But I'm done being scared. This ends tonight. There's a murmur in the room. Karen shifts in her seat, her face tightening. I can see the mask starting to crack, but she tries to maintain her composure. This is ridiculous, Karen snaps, rising to her feet. Luke, you're taking this too far. I'm just doing my job. You've always been difficult to deal with, and now you're trying to make this personal. These rules are in place for the good of the community. But I'm not backing down. You're not doing your job, Karen, I say, my voice firm. You're abusing your power. You've been taking advantage of your position for your own personal gain. You've bullied me, you've bullied my neighbors, and it's time for that to stop. You don't get to hide behind rules when you've been using them to hurt people. Karen tries to deflect. She raises her voice, saying that I'm misinterpreting the situation, that I'm stirring up trouble where there is none. But with every word, she's digging herself deeper. The truth is undeniable now. The evidence speaks for itself. She starts pointing fingers, trying to paint me as the villain, the troublemaker. But the more she talks, the more obvious it becomes that she's trying to cover her tracks. She's not just defending herself, she's scrambling. Her facade is slipping. Let's be clear, I continue, refusing to let her change the narrative. This isn't about one trash can. This is about power, control, and the way you've used this HOA to make people's lives miserable. You've gone after people who didn't comply with every little rule, even when those rules were ridiculous. You've made them afraid to even walk outside without fearing a fine. At this point, the room is divided. Some of my neighbors are still skeptical, unsure whether they should speak up, but others are beginning to speak out. One of them, an elderly woman who has lived in the neighborhood for decades, stands up and says, "I've had enough of her too. My daughter was fined for not trimming her hedge properly. She lives out of state, for crying out loud. I've had enough of Karen's games." That's when I feel the shift. More people start speaking up. One by one, my neighbors share their own stories of Karen's overreach, how she's made them feel small and powerless. The room is starting to buzz, the truth spreading through it like wildfire. Karen's composure is completely gone now. She's red-faced, her hands shaking as she tries to defend herself, but the more she speaks, the more people turn away from her. The community is waking up, and it's no longer just my fight, it's theirs too. I look at Karen standing there, completely exposed, her true nature out in the open. For the first time, she's not in control anymore. The tables have turned. I'm done, I say, looking her straight in the eye. You don't scare me anymore, Karen. You've spent too long pushing people around, using your position to control us. But we're not afraid of you anymore. We're taking our neighborhood back. I stand my ground, and for the first time, Karen doesn't have a response. She opens her mouth, then closes it, unable to form words. The room is quiet, but I know it's over. She's lost. The moment I decide to take the HOA to court, the weight of what I'm about to do hits me. This isn't just a dispute over a trash can anymore. This is a full-blown legal battle, and the stakes are higher than I ever imagined. If I lose, I'm not just fighting fines or harassment. I could lose my home, my family's legacy, but I know I can't back down. Not now. The day of the court hearing arrives. I'm dressed in my best suit, my hands still shaking as I clutch the evidence I've gathered over the past few months. I'm not just walking into a courtroom, I'm walking into the very heart of this fight for everything I stand for. Karen is already there, sitting at the plaintiff's table, her posture stiff and haughty, like she's already won. The moment I walk in, she glances up, offering me a smile that's anything but friendly. She's used to winning, used to being the one with all the power. But today, she's facing something she didn't expect, me. I sit down at the defendant's table, and my lawyer gives me a reassuring nod. We've prepared for this. We've collected every letter, every photo, every statement from my neighbors. Karen may have had the upper hand until now, but today, she's the one on the defensive. The courtroom is tense. My heart pounds in my chest, but I do my best to remain calm. This is the moment I've been working toward. The moment when Karen's lies and manipulation are finally exposed. The judge calls the court to order, and the trial begins. My lawyer stands first, laying out the case against the HOA. He talks about how Karen and the board have been abusing their power, how they've been using minor violations as an excuse to target people like me. As he talks, I feel the weight of everything I've been through pressing down on me, every threat, every fine, every sleepless night. But today, the truth is on our side. My lawyer begins presenting the evidence, the letters from the HOA, the fines, the photos of Karen trespassing on my property, the statements from my neighbors. One by one, he details how Karen has overstepped her authority, using her position to intimidate and control. He talks about how I was just one of many targets in a long list of people she's harassed for years. Karen watches this all unfold, her expression darkening with each piece of evidence presented. She tries to maintain her composure, but I can see it, her walls are starting to crack. This isn't the smooth ride she's used to. Then it's time for cross-examination. My lawyer stands up and addresses Karen, his voice sharp but calm. He starts by asking about the specifics of the violations she's claimed I've committed. As Karen stumbles over her answers, I can see the cracks in her story widen. She starts to deflect, making excuses, trying to shift the blame onto me. But each time she does, my lawyer hits her with another question, forcing her to reveal the truth. How exactly did you come to the conclusion that Mr. Harris was in violation? My lawyer asks, his tone cool and steady. What specific rule did he break regarding the trash can? Karen hesitates, clearly trying to recall the exact rule she's supposedly enforcing. Well, it's about keeping the trash cans out of sight, she mutters, but her words are shaky. And where is the rule that mandates this? My lawyer presses. She stammers again, her confidence wavering. It's in the HOA's guidelines, somewhere. At that moment, the judge raises an eyebrow, and the room goes silent. It's clear to everyone in the courtroom that Karen is grasping at straws. The truth is, there is no specific rule about trash cans. This was just an excuse, another tool for her to use in her quest for control. With each lie she tries to spin, the walls around her come crashing down. The more she deflects, the clearer it becomes. Karen has been using her position to enforce arbitrary rules and make people's lives miserable. She's not interested in keeping the neighborhood nice. She's interested in maintaining her grip on power. As the cross-examination continues, Karen's excuses become more desperate, and the truth becomes more obvious. The evidence speaks for itself. She's been lying, manipulating, and abusing her position, and now, the entire courtroom can see it. At last, the judge calls for a recess, and we break for lunch. I step outside, trying to steady my nerves. My neighbors have gathered in the lobby, waiting for the next round. Some of them offer me quiet words of encouragement. One woman, who I've known for years, puts a hand on my shoulder. You're doing the right thing, Luke. We're all behind you. The support from my neighbors is overwhelming. This isn't just my fight anymore, it's ours. And I'm not the only one Karen's hurt. I look around at their faces, at the strength in their eyes, and I know we're going to win this. We have the truth on our side, and no one can take that away. After lunch, we return to the courtroom. The judge listens carefully as both sides present their final arguments. When it's my turn to speak, I stand, my voice steady but filled with the conviction I've carried for so long. Your Honor, this is more than just a case about fines or violations, I say. This is about standing up to someone who has used her position to bully and intimidate people for years. It's about holding her accountable for the harm she's caused to me and my neighbors. We're not here because of trash cans or lawn maintenance. We're here because we want to live in a community where we're treated with respect, not fear. The judge listens, nods, and then addresses the court. I've heard enough, the judge says. The evidence is clear. The defendant's actions have been egregious, and it's time for the HOA to be held accountable. The fines will be reversed, and I will be recommending an independent review of the HOA's practices. I feel a rush of relief flood through me. The judge's ruling isn't just a victory for me, it's a victory for every neighbor who's been pushed around by Karen. It's a moment of validation, the first real sense of justice I've felt in a long time. The courtroom begins to clear, but I don't move. I stand there letting the weight of the victory sink in. I've won. The HOA is forced to back off. Karen's reign of terror has come to an end. My neighbors gather around me, offering congratulations, hugs, and words of thanks. They all feel like they've won something too. And for the first time in months, I feel the weight lift off my shoulders. This is the turning point, the moment when everything I've worked for, everything my father built, is validated. Karen's power crumbles, and we're free to live in peace once again. The moment the judge delivers his ruling, I feel like the ground beneath me shifts. It's as if the weight I've been carrying for months, the endless stress, the sleepless nights, suddenly lifts. I can't breathe for a second, not out of fear but out of pure relief. Karen Hughes is hereby removed from her position as the president of the HOA. All fines and violations against Mr. Harris are hereby revoked, the judge announces, his voice firm and decisive. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I was holding, and I hear a soft murmur of approval from my neighbors. The room feels lighter now, like the very air around us has changed. Karen's face goes pale, her jaw clenched tight as she tries to hide her shock. The people she's tormented for so long are finally free. I turn to look at the group of neighbors who have rallied around me through this ordeal. The ones who stood by me, who offered their support when Karen's power felt overwhelming. Now it's their turn to celebrate too. I see smiles breaking out on their faces. People nodding to each other, relieved, vindicated. The community that once lived in fear of Karen is now united, stronger, and more determined than ever. Karen stumbles out of the courtroom, her head held high but her shoulders slumped in defeat. I watch her go, the woman who tried to break me, who used her position to tear apart the peace in our neighborhood. As I stand there, I realize that this battle wasn't just mine. It was for everyone who'd been silenced, for everyone who had suffered at her hands. The community has spoken, and the truth has won. The rush of victory is overwhelming, but it's mixed with a deep sense of emotional relief. I step out of the courthouse, the cool air hitting my face, and for the first time in a long while, I feel free. I'm no longer fighting. I've won. The weight of the battle has lifted, and I can finally breathe again. I take a moment, standing outside the courthouse, to let everything sink in. I think back to the first time I stood up to Karen, when I didn't know how deep this battle would go. I remember feeling like I was in over my head, unsure of whether I could take on someone like her, unsure if I'd lose everything. But now, standing here with the judge's ruling in my favor, I realize how much I've grown. This fight has been the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's also been the most rewarding. I've not only protected my home and my father's legacy, I've protected something far greater. I've shown my neighbors, my community, that it's worth standing up for what's right. Even when the odds seem impossible, I've shown them that one person can make a difference. That fighting back against injustice isn't just a fight for yourself, but for everyone around you. I think about my father, about everything he taught me. He would have been proud of me today. This house, this legacy, was never just about bricks and wood. It was about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. And that's exactly what I've done. I'm not just a homeowner anymore. I'm a person who's fought back against a system that tried to crush me. I'm someone who's helped change the future for my community, and for that I feel a sense of pride that I've never known before. The real moment of relief comes when I walk into my house that evening. It's a feeling I haven't had in months. Peace. I stand in the living room, looking around at the familiar walls, the space that's always been a part of me. My father's presence is still here, in every corner. I can almost hear his voice, like he's here with me, telling me I did the right thing. As the weight of the battle falls away, I realize something else too. I'm not just fighting for the property anymore. I'm fighting for the kind of neighborhood I want to live in. A place where everyone's voice matters, where the community stands together against tyranny. This victory means we've changed that. I take a deep breath, smiling to myself. It's over. This battle has come to an end, and I've come out on top. That evening, I sit down at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, reflecting on everything that's happened. The phone buzzes with messages from neighbors who've been following the case, all of them offering congratulations. They're grateful for what's happened, and I know that this victory is just as much theirs as it is mine. In the end, it wasn't about winning the case or even taking down Karen. It was about something much bigger, about finding the courage to fight for what's right, no matter the cost. It's about standing up for the future, for our homes, for our family. It's about refusing to let someone like Karen control our lives. And now, I can finally say, with certainty, that we're free. The weight of it all lifts off my chest, and as I look out the window at the peaceful street outside, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time: hope. Karen's fall from grace is as swift as it is undeniable. The moment the judge ruled in my favor, it was as if her entire world had crumbled. The very foundation of her power, the HOA, had been shaken to its core, but she didn't see it coming. None of us did, really. Karen, once the untouchable president of the HOA, is now a shadow of her former self. She tries to hold her head high, but the truth of what she's done is out there for everyone to see. The community, once intimidated by her, is now rallying together in a way I've never seen before. The HOA is forced to reconsider its policies, not just because of the court ruling, but because of the public outcry. The board members who had once been too afraid to question Karen are now scrambling to distance themselves from her. They've been caught in her web of lies and manipulation, and they can't ignore the damage she's done. The organization that was supposed to be a force for good is now under investigation, its future uncertain. Karen is removed from her position, not just by the judge, but by the board members who no longer want to associate with her. She's been exposed, and the consequences of her actions are beginning to catch up to her. But it's not just legal consequences that Karen faces. The social fallout is just as severe. Neighbors who once avoided confrontation now feel empowered to speak up. The people she once bullied, the ones who cowered under her gaze, are now finding their voices. Some even go so far as to publicly call her out, sharing stories of their own experiences with her manipulations. It's clear that Karen's reputation is in tatters. No amount of spinning can hide the truth anymore. I see her around town sometimes, her head down, avoiding eye contact. It's almost hard to watch. But then again, she earned every bit of it. The people she tormented are no longer afraid of her. And that, more than anything, is what makes this victory sweet. The community, once divided and fearful, starts to rebuild. Neighbors who had been isolated now come together, supporting one another in a way they never did before. People who were once afraid to stand up for themselves now share their experiences, talking openly about the way Karen treated them. The bonds that were broken by her manipulation are slowly being mended, and there's a renewed sense of unity in the air. It's a bittersweet feeling. The damage has been done, but there's also a sense of healing. The neighborhood feels different now. It's more open, more connected, and less afraid of standing up for what's right. As the days pass, I take a moment to reflect on everything that's happened. The battle, the stress, the sleepless nights. It feels like a lifetime ago. I stand on my porch, looking out at the street that's now quieter, more peaceful, and I realize just how much I've changed. I've become stronger, more confident. When this all began, I was just a guy trying to protect his home. I wasn't thinking about how far this fight would take me, or how much it would challenge me. But now, I see it all differently. I've learned that sometimes standing up for what's right means going to great lengths, that it's not always easy, and it's not always quick. But it's always worth it in the end. In a way, Karen's actions forced me to grow in ways I never expected. I've learned how to fight not just for myself, but for my community, for my neighbors, for anyone who feels like they're being pushed around. I've learned that standing up to injustice isn't just about facing one person, it's about making sure that no one ever feels like they're alone in that fight. As I walk through the neighborhood, I notice the difference. People are talking, laughing, sharing stories again. The fear that once hung in the air has dissipated. And as much as I fought for my home, my legacy, I realize that this victory isn't just mine, it's everyone's. I see my neighbors, and they greet me with smiles, nods of respect, and even a few thank yous. I feel a deep sense of pride. This wasn't just about winning against Karen, it was about showing everyone that when we stand together, we can change things. We can take back our homes, our lives, and our dignity. We don't have to live in fear anymore. I stop at the corner of the street and take a deep breath. The sun is setting, casting a warm glow over the houses. I realize that for the first time in a long while, I'm not just protecting my property, I'm protecting something much bigger. I'm part of a community now, a community that's learned the power of standing up for what's right. I look at the house in front of me, the one my father built, the one I fought to protect, and I smile, knowing that it's not just my legacy I've preserved. It's the legacy of everyone who stood up with me, and that's something I'll carry with me forever. As I stand on my front porch looking at the neighborhood that has been through so much, I take a moment to reflect on how far I've come. This battle that started with something as simple as a trash can has turned into something far bigger. I faced down a system that was stacked against me, a woman who used fear and control to manipulate the people around her. And in the end, I came out on top. I think about my father, about everything he taught me. He would have been proud of me today, proud of the way I fought not just for my home, but for the integrity of the community he worked so hard to be a part of. His legacy is safe. I've protected it. And in the process, I've learned so much more than I ever expected. I've learned what it means to stand up for what's right, even when the odds seem impossible. I've also learned the value of community. Before all this, I never thought much about the people around me. I kept to myself, focused on my work and my home. But now, I see things differently. I see how important it is to stand together, to support one another, and to know that no one has to fight alone. The sense of unity that's grown out of this struggle is something I'll never forget. I take a slow walk around my property, feeling the cool evening breeze against my skin. The yard looks the same. The house still stands as it always has. But everything feels different now. The weight of the battle is gone, and with it, the stress, the fear, the uncertainty. I feel at peace, like I can finally exhale. The fight is over, but I know that the lessons I've learned will stay with me. I've proven to myself that doing the right thing, no matter how hard, no matter how long it takes, is always worth it. And whatever comes next, I'm ready for it. I know that no matter what life throws at me, I'll always have the strength to face it head on. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I feel confident. I'm no longer just protecting a house, I'm protecting a community, and that's something I'll continue to fight for every single day. If you've enjoyed this story and want to hear more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.